By identifying the ABCs of behavior, we can begin to understand the function of a problem behavior by looking for patterns across multiple occurrences of the behavior in the antecedents, the behaviors, and the consequences. Remember, when we determine the function, we are figuring out what the student is trying to communicate or why the behavior occurs. Although behavior is very complex, we can think of problem behavior as having two main functions: to obtain something or to escape something. A person may engage in a behavior to obtain social attention, to obtain sensory stimulation, or to obtain something tangible. Something tangible can be defined as an item or activity that is perceived through touch. A person may also engage in a behavior to escape things such as social attention, the demands of a task, or sensory stimulation. Attention from adults or peers can be something a student wants to either obtain or avoid. Why is a functional approach to understanding behavior important? First, an intervention is more likely to be successful. Research supports the idea that when behavior interventions are based on the function, they are much more likely to decrease the challenging behaviors if they are applied correctly and at the right frequency. Second, addressing problem behaviors when you don't know the function can be inefficient or even harmful. Third, if you use a function-based support, you are more likely to implement a positive strategy. And finally, the intervention may last longer. Let's look at the concept of function in an everyday life scenario. A student who asks for crayons starts screaming when they're not given to her. The teacher gives her the crayons to stop the screaming. This is an example of the student getting a preferred item or tangible. In this case, the tangible items are crayons. In another example, a student may refuse to present her project when it's time for group presentations. In this case, the student may be escaping social peer attention. Let's think back to Demi's behavior. Demi is asked to line up, but engages in aggressive behavior. That behavior is typically and consistently followed by Ms. Brantley coming over to talk to Demi about how she needs to be nice to her friends. When we consider the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequences altogether, it's likely that Demi is trying to obtain Ms. Brantley's attention. It's important to note that the function of the behavior is usually determined by looking at the behavior across multiple occurrences to find the pattern that emerges. So, let's connect the function of gaining adult attention to the consequence. If Ms. Brantley always goes over and has a long conversation with Demi after she is aggressive, then it's likely that the aggression may actually be reinforced, even though Ms. Brantley isn't reinforcing it on purpose. If Ms. Brantley continues to respond this way, Demi may be more likely to be aggressive in the future to gain her attention. If Demi is quickly redirected to lining up, or if she is given another quick consequence that doesn't include Ms. Brantley's attention, then the aggression may not be reinforced. Ms. Brantley would expect that Demi would not be as likely to be aggressive in the future. Remember, in order to determine the reason for the problem behavior, you need information from multiple instances of the behavior, so you can look for a clear pattern. This process is called a Functional Behavior Assessment, or FBA. In the FBA, you use the information you have gathered on the behavior to determine the function of the behavior. Then you can directly link the function to interventions that are appropriate for the child and the situation. Let's review what we've learned in this section. The function of a behavior is why the behavior occurs. We can think of problem behavior as having two main functions: to obtain something or to escape something. To determine the function, we identify the ABCs of the behavior across many occurrences and analyze the information and look for patterns.